What is up, duelists? Welcome back to the second ever Friday edition of War League Wednesdays. Might as well just make it a tradition at this point. I took a couple days off from uploading on this channel, but I was not taking a break from content creation in general. If you guys haven't seen it already, I was lucky enough to get invited over to the Cub Games YouTube channel, another GOAT format content creator, to join in on their on his weekly Jeopardy GOAT format Jeopardy series, which was really fun. So definitely check that out if you haven't just yet. But we're back today with our regularly scheduled programming. So this is going into week 10 of the GOAT format War League. Very, very close to playoffs here. I believe there are only going to be 11 weeks of regular season here, so week 10 is getting down to the wire for a lot of teams. We've spent the last few weeks chilling up in the blue conference, so I wanted to switch it up this time, get a little bit more red conference action. And this is a good week to do that because we have a pretty interesting sort of near bubble matchup between two 5-3 teams, Nemesis versus 400s, both kind of, like I said, on that bubble, trying to fight for wild card or even straight by playoff qualification. And this is also an exciting matchup because Nemesis is home to, at least going into week 10, one of the few undefeated players left in the league who, has played like a significant number of games. That player being marou13. They are 7-0 so far on this season. Mostly a Chaos Turbo player, although they did whip out Panda Burn one week and still got the dub. So pretty impressive to see. Definitely a varying, skill set, which is really helpful in these War League matchups. I think Panda Burn specifically, actually, is a really good deck to throw into the mix because, if you ever watch like big open tournament kind of decks and their sideboards, or side decks, I should say, Panda Burn is, it's a known enough quantity and a powerful enough deck that most decks do have to dedicate some side deck space to the matchup. However, it doesn't have a lot of overlap a lot of the time, depending on the deck you're playing, with side deck cards you'd bring in for other matchups. Think like Mystic Walk, right? You're not really bringing that in against decks that don't have a burn element in them, right? So by showing you're willing to whip out the Panda Burn list occasionally, it kind of keeps your opponent honest, right? And they can't just like free up those couple extra burn specific slots to like tweak for some of the more fair common matchups you'll see in War League. So even though Marou, 6 out of the 7 weeks that they've played, has slammed the Chaos Turbo list to great effect, the one time that they played Panda Burn will definitely, stick in the back of their opponent's minds and make prep a lot harder, right? So I think that might have something to do with their success so far this season. Their opponent going into week 10 is 400's Yata88, who is 5-2 on the season, so still a very respectable record. And they are playing, or have played, 3 different strategies so far this season, so definitely likes to mix it up. The most common one they played, but only 3 out of the 7 weeks that they played, is Chaos Control, which they are undefeated on, so wouldn't be surprised to see that come out today. 3-0 on the Chaos Control strategy. They also ran out Chaos Turbo 2 weeks. They're 1-1 with the deck, with the one loss coming in the mirror, which is notable because the other deck that they played, Chaos Warrior, they're also 1-1 with that loss also coming to Chaos Turbo. Why do I say that's important? Because Yada's only losses are to Chaos Turbo. Marou pretty much exclusively plays Chaos Turbo, except for the one Panda Burn week. And Marou is the Chaos Turbo Slayer. They have come up against that list 6 times out of the 7 weeks so far, and as I mentioned before, is undefeated against Turbo and the other deck that they played. But specifically, they are 6-0 against Turbo this season so far, which is really insane. Of course, in War League, you're always going to play up against a lot of Turbo lists, but Marou specifically has really excelled in that matchup. So much so that I would be surprised to see Yada whip out the Turbo here. It is something that they play, somewhat regularly. But they do have a loss in the mirror so far, one of their 2 losses, and, I would probably lean a little bit more towards that Chaos Control list that you are undefeated with, but good to keep things, a little bit, unpredictable. So let's go over the lists here so far. So we're going to start with Marou's Turbo list prep here. They played this 6 out of the 7 weeks. They definitely do like to tweak up the ratios. I've seen 41 cards played in their main deck through those 6 weeks. I believe some weeks they're only on 2 Dekoichis, so they're probably not always running triple Decoy Sometimes they probably take the Sakuretsu armor out. In fact, this would be a pretty standard main deck turbo list. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it just looking something like this. Main deck book is something that they definitely like, which could come in handy against a lot of the decks that Yata might be playing here. They're a Wind Blast gamer, which is pretty interesting, but I did see them run Raigeki Break in the side for the one time that they didn't play against Chaos Turbo, where Phoenix Wind Blast is, not as good. Interesting stuff to see come out of the side, though. Mind Controls make sense. Kaiku makes sense. I did see Zambira come out of the side against Turbo one week, which I honestly wouldn't particularly recommend, but it's definitely something that a lot of people do, and you can see some success or some success with, I should say. The 1 week that they did not play against Turbo, it was against like a weird Earth aggro Stein Will sort of pile, which is why you see the Karibo and the Threatening Roar out of the side. So if Yata chooses to play some weird rogue thing, we might see those come in. I think the Spirit Reaper came in against that list as well, just as like a nice wall that's hard to deal with. But otherwise, pretty standard turbo, just with the main deck Wind Blasts, and occasionally a main deck Sakuretsu armor, which is pretty rare, but could be decent against more aggro lists. Go show off the 1 week that they did play Panda Burn. Now, the game one was pretty pretty quick, so I didn't see too much of the main deck. But overall, I think it looks like pretty standard Panda Burn stuff. Main deck Jars, main deck Panda, you got your Battle Floodgates, and your Just Desserts, Ojama Trios, Magic Cylinders. They did play against Chaos Turbo. Post side, I did see a lot of like kind of the Earth aggro-y sort of stuff, like Rat Lily. Wouldn't be surprised if those were in the main deck regardless. Same with like Premature and Exiled. Ojama Trio and Barrel are probably both in the main. But yeah, overall, relatively standard Panda Burn list, running Koalas, Big Shield Gardenas, stuff like that. Nothing really super spicy here, besides the fact that they just played Panda Burn 1 week, right, just to shake things up. Let's go take a look. Ooh, thank you, Dueling Book. Love that. Okay, right back into it. Let's take a look at Yata. So like I mentioned, they were playing 3 different deck types so far this season. This is their Chaos Control list, or at least what I have seen so far. Like I said, this is their most successful list so far. Played it 3 weeks, the most out of all of their decks, and are undefeated on it. It is relatively standard from what I saw. Main deck Scapegoat, double swap, at least 1 copy of Meta. Running a Sura Priest in the main, which definitely makes sense when you're on double swap. Only double Spy, I think, which is totally fine. Main deck Solemn, which isn't something you always see, but is definitely pretty nice in that list. And side deck is all like relatively normal stuff you would expect against the field, right? Mystic Walk for burn, all that good stuff. Their turbo list is pretty interesting. Not in terms of the actual cards. I think this is relatively, once again, pretty standard turbo stuff. They are main decking Torrential, multiple Dust Shoots, nothing crazy there. They are a Raigeki Break gamer, not a Wind Blast gamer, which is pretty standard. However, one thing I noticed while prepping and watching Yata's replays is they are definitely an aggro player at heart, despite the fact that they played a lot of turbo and a lot of chaos control. They play those decks very, very aggressively, which makes sense because I think they kind of came up as a little bit more of a Chaos Warrior player. So even though they're dabbling in some of the other Chaos strategies, they definitely have the beatdown in their soul, you know what I mean? And why I think that's interesting is because I did see them actually bring in the Solemn Judgments into the Turbo Mirror, which really helps you be a lot more aggressive with your playstyle. Send and go for like bigger OTK plans with your Chaos Monsters, not playing as conservatively. So a pretty cool take on, not even take on the list, but just a different kind of mindset playing this deck, which we might see if we do end up getting a Turbo Mirror. And then the last list, they were on Chaos Warrior a couple times. Once again, relatively standard list. I think you're playing Chaos, you're playing all of the good one-off warriors to search up with Rhoda. You've got your Thunder Dragons to support the Chaos. I actually never saw them play Chaos Sorcerer, but I have to assume it's somewhere in the list. Otherwise, what's the point of running Thunder Dragons? You know what I mean? But besides that, relatively standard. They do like to bring in flips post-side. I saw them do that against Turbo. Actually, interestingly, 1 week, they brought in the flips post-side and then sided them out in Game 3. So definitely a little bit of mind games there. That is, one of the warrior strategies in general. Chaos Warrior included. One of their kind of legs up in the turbo matchup is that they can play this will I bring in flips or won't I, right, to try and like catch the opponent with or without knock accordingly. And so definitely something that Yata is not afraid to do here. And honestly, a pretty likely thing to see if they choose to bring this deck against Marou, who I would assume is playing Chaos Turbo. So with all the prep out of the way, let's hop into the game here. We're going to be watching it from Yata's POV. And let's see, the opening hand. Okay, we see double Dust Shoot in the opening hand, Jar, Mirror, Force, Torrential. So this, I guess, could be pretty much any one of their lists that they play. Just yet, we'll probably get a little bit more intel off of this Jar of Greed. When they draw Thunder Dragon, okay. Now, once again, still no knowledge here. Because if you might have noticed, all three of their lists were Chaos lists. They all played Thunder Dragon, whether it's CC, Turbo, or Chaos Warrior. These are all cards that you would see in each of those lists. So really no intel here for us as the viewer to go off of here. But I think the play here for Yata is definitely pretty simple. It's going to be activate Thunder Dragon, and then you probably set everything except for the Mirror Force, is my guess. Because Jar, Double Shoot are all chainable. You can maybe just set one shoot. But there's definitely a world where you would want to double shoot because it's not like you have any monster of your own to play. Sorping your opponents out is a little bit better. So yeah, it's just going to be TD, set everything except for the Mirror Force pass. No monsters on the board to start, so Torrential Tribute's a little bit better. Definitely seems like a solid play to me. Okay, we're actually just going to hold the Torrential. That's like kind of fine. I mean, I guess you could think that if you have double Dust Shoot, it's unlikely that your opponent can keep something you're going to want a Torrential anyway. But I don't really see too much reason to hold it here regardless. I mean, unless you don't want to like give them a Heavy Storm target, which I can understand. Pretty unlikely you get punished for this, of course, with the double shoot. So maybe this is fine. Marou is going to draw for turn, fire off that Dust Shoot. And no need to chain the second one. You'll get to, Marou has plenty of cards in hand, so you can just hold the second one. And activate it on resolution, perhaps, depending on what is in Marou's hand. So let's see. Looks like Marou, did bring Chaos Turbo, kind of as expected here, not switching it up for that Panda Burn list. So far, on the main deck, Wind Blast, as expected. And their hand is pretty bad, honestly, with a lot of cards that don't do anything. I mean, I guess you probably just send back the Tsukuyomi. And then this is, why you don't need to chain the second Dust Shoot here, is you can just kind of chill and wait for them to draw one or two more cards before you use the second one, because it's not like Maru's going to be playing anything anytime soon. So I think you just send back the Suk and then go from there. Maru's not really have anything to do. We can play around Torrential or Wind Blast, which is pretty nice just to know about, and we're pretty happy. Yeah, we're going to send back the Suk. Makes sense. It's the only card that they can actually play right now, so makes sense to me. They're going to go set both of those back row. So we know Wind Blast and Torrential. We draw Knock for turn, which is pretty dead. We're just going to go ahead and fire off the Jar here and try and draw into some sort of play. Yep, and we draw into a second Jar, the classic Jar onto Jar interaction, which is a little bit of a bummer, but at least we're not under any pressure, so it's not the end of the world. Now, I mean, you could hold Torrential here. Once again, I think setting it is totally fine. We know Marou has nothing to play. The only interesting question here is, do you want to Dust Shoot immediately again when Marou draws for turn? I feel like you have to, because they're drawing up to 4 cards in hand, and so it's not guaranteed that you'll get another Dust Shoot activation anytime soon. So we're probably kind of forced to fire off the Dust Shoot. We'll get to see whatever they drew for a turn, and at least we're guaranteed to have a target to send back, so I think that's totally fine. So it's just going to be set Jar. I would set Torrential here. You don't have to. Yata chooses not to. I think it's fine. I guess, at this point, because there's nothing you're going to be Torrentialing, you might as well just hold it in hand. That seems fine to me. And then let's fire off this Dust Shoot again. Yep. They drew a Jar of Greed per turn, so no new information really for us. Just send back the BLS and go from there. All good. And now we know their hand is Jar, Snatch, Sork, and as expected. I mean, there could have been Bluff Set Snatch from Marou last turn. But now we know for sure that the back row are Wind Blast and Torrential, which is pretty much expected. Now Maru has no plays, but they can at least set this jar. We draw Kaiku for a turn, which is pretty nice. It does kind of lose to the Torrential, but it's at least, a card there. And now Yata here, still not sure exact. I mean, the main deck Kaiku, I don't think I ever saw Yata main deck Kaiku in their Turbo or CC list, so this makes me think that they might have ran out the Chaos Warrior strategy here. I still think it's probably good to fire off the Jar of Greed because you can like draw into Heavy Storm, which would be really good to force this Kaiku through a little bit more. There are worlds where you hold this if Maru gets like antsy and wants to Wind Blast it or something. But I feel like there's definitely stuff here you'd want to draw into. You'd also, if you're main decking MST, that would be nice. If you're main decking Raigeki Break, that would be nice. And I feel like I don't really... If I could summon another monster and have that get Torrentialed, I'd be more happy than having my Kaiku get Torrentialed, because this Kaiku will get a lot better as the game goes on. So I'd rather like have something else eat the Torrential is kind of my thought there. Yeah, so I like firing off the jar here. You could hold it, but I just... there are very little scenarios where you actually get value out of holding this jar here, so I'd rather just use it. Draw into second Kaiku. Okay, so yeah. Summon one, have it eat the Torrential, and then summon the second one next turn. That's totally fine with me. Maru is going to let this go through, so we can just start beating in for 18, which is nice. We dodge Torrential entirely. Not sure about that decision from Maru, but, is what it is. I mean, I guess Kaiku isn't the end of the world right now, because it's not like either of his effects do anything. So you're not like forced to Torrential it or anything. I'm always of the opinion, though, like, when I have known cards that get a lot worse when my opponent just like plays around them, like Torrential, for example, I generally like to just use them at the first available decent opportunity, just so that like then we're not playing the mind games anymore. But if you're confident in your ability to out mind game your opponent with cards like that, it's free to do something like this. In the meantime, though, Maru is going to start taking 1800 a turn from this Kaiku with their only out that we know about. I mean, I guess Maru is probably trying to go for the Snatch Steal play, which we don't have an out for except for Mirror Force. Okay, yeah, so this was actually an interesting sort of play, because obviously Maru knows that Yata knows that Torrential is on the board, and we also know that Maru has Snatch Steal, so Yata might be hoping that Maru uses the Torrential, but Maru's just going to hold it and go for the Snatch Steal play, which will actually plus if it ends up running into the Mirror Force, right? So it could be kind of annoying. So a little bit awkward for Yata here, but I think the way it's being played, it's not like you're not going to summon Kaiku, right? And you'll just take it on the chin regardless. Maru activates the jar we know about, of course. Gonna pass Prio. No Dust Shoot. Gonna go snatch the Kaiku. Do you Mirror Force this? I don't hate Mirror Forcing here. It does give Snatch a 2-for-1. But like if you don't Mirror Force, what else do you do? You know what I mean? I mean, I guess you could draw into back row removal. Your Thunder Dragon getting banished is a little bit annoying, but it's not the end of the world. However, guaranteeing your Darkets and Grave is kind of nice. So I would lean towards Mirror Forcing here. If we go summon Kaiku and they Torrential it, which they probably will, then at least our board is clear and our Torrential is better. You know what I mean? I don't think it's worth trying to like hard draw MST. Even it's not even guaranteed that Yata is playing main deck MST to out the Snatch Steal. So yeah, and I don't like just like being walled off here. If Yata is on Chaos Warrior, I would like to like at least try to make progress over time. So just like summoning Kaiku and letting them crash or something seems pretty bad. So yeah, I'd probably just Mirror Force here. You're also playing against Chaos Turbo, so Mirror Force isn't like super amazing anyway, so I think it's fine to just use it. Even if it's a 2-for-1. We're going to let it through, though. Thunder Dragon does get banished. That's fine. Maybe we get lucky and we draw into something to answer it. We draw Sork, which is super duper dead here. Do we normal the Kaiku and then try and trade? That's certainly a play. And then we do have Chaos online. So I actually think that's probably good. just because if this Kaiku stays around, our hand really doesn't do anything. So we do kind of want to remove it. And that was one of the reasons why I liked mirror forcing the Kaiku there, is because then it gets light dark into our grave, so it makes a lot of our top decks better. And then we could go like if the Kaiku was just engraved now, sure we got 2-for-1, but Snatch is going to 2-for-1 us a lot of the time. It's not like the end of the world. We could go summon Kaiku. They'd probably torrential at that point, and then we can just go and summon Sork with the torrential gone, and that seems pretty strong. Whereas now, like, it's kind of awkward, and if we want to get a Light Engrave, we have to discard a Thunder Dragon, which also not the end of the world, but we could have just had the Light Engrave already, right? But now I feel like we should just go ahead and summon this Kaiku, probably. We're just going to pass. Okay, we're going to... Is the play now to Mirror Force the Kaiku? In which case, just kind of like conceding that we probably should have done it last turn. But it's fine waiting a turn to see if you draw into back row removal or something, depending on what's in your list. So I'm not going to say it's a wrong play. Maru here, going to beat in with the Kaiku. Is just going to take it on the chin. Okay. I guess this is fine. We draw premature. Okay, so yeah, this definitely screams Chaos Warrior to me now with double Kaiku in the main plus premature. Notably double Dust Shoot as well, which I'm not sure if I saw double Dust Shoot in the main from any of the non-warrior Chaos lists that Yata played. Now things are getting continually awkward, though, because we were just letting this Kaiku stick around. I mean, at this point, just go for the same, just pass, right? If we're committing to passing there and we don't want to mirror force it, might as well just, nothing's really changed. So might as well just do the same thing. We're going to go for the Kaiku now. Not really sure what we were hoping to draw this turn that would have made this not the play last turn. You know what I mean? Like, if we were willing to just do this next turn anyway, I feel like we could have just done it now. Or done it. If we were willing to do it now, we could have just done it last turn, right? No torrential comes through. Trade the Kaikus. Seems good to me. Yep, we do end up getting 2-for-1 in the end, but, it is what it is. We at least get some Darks Engrave, which could be nice. We got double TD in hand. Maru here. Just draw pass. Okay. We have Exiled Force. Yeah, so finally, 100% without a doubt, confirming that we're on the Chaos Warrior list, right? Now, this is... Oh, you know what? Maybe... Are we more fine with the Kaiku trade play because now we have Premature? But so now we can go for the play I was talking about before, where instead of normal summon Kaiku to bait out the Torrential to then go into the Sork, we can go Premature on the Kaiku to do the same thing, right? Especially now that Snatch is gone, this is a lot better. However, the annoying thing, of course, is that... And also, Wind Blast is a lot worse against this stuff, right? Like, Wind Blast is not good into Premature or Sork. So, if Maru chooses to Wind Blast us, I don't care at all. So yeah, I think the play is Premature Burial on the Kaiku. See if Maru Torrentials or not. If they do, then we can summon Sork and go from there. And yeah, because, we could have done this 2 turns ago, I guess is kind of my point here. Where, I'm not sure exactly what we were waiting on to go for this play, when we could have just, mirror forced the Kaiku and done this 2 turns ago without giving Maru time to draw into more stuff. You know what I mean? Especially because we know their hand is super bricked. So I like being more aggressive here, bait out the Torrential. If they need to Wind Blast, that's good for us because they're going to get 2-for-1, and then we can just slam down the same threat next turn. Now Wind Blast is a little bit more annoying for us because if we want to summon Stork twice, we have to discard both Thunder Dragons, which is a bit of a bummer. Whereas if we had just Mirror Forced the Kaiku a while ago, at least this Thunder Dragon would still be in the graveyard, and so if we need to go resummon Sork, we'll still have a Thunder Dragon in hand. So, Yata basically using some time, spending some life points as a resource to try and draw into some better stuff, but the play ended up just being the same even after waiting 2 turns, and I'm not sure exactly what draws would have, massively improved on the play regardless. So I feel like we could have just done it earlier. I think Yata's still in a good spot here. But could have pressed the issue a little bit more, especially when you're playing this more aggressive deck into Turbo where you want to be the one. Like, we don't actually want this board state to be really complicated like it is right now. So it's what it is. But yeah, I think premature on the Kaiku is a no-brainer. If there's torrential, we go for Sork. If not, it's fine. Maru's still holding this torrential, so we get to beat in with the Kaiku. Just an 1800 vanilla right now, but that is some solid damage, so pretty happy about that. Maru, let's see, no snatch here. They do have Tsukuyomi, which we sent back with the Dust Shoot a while ago, but they drew into. Now we have the Mirror Force to use, though, which is nice. And now our Kaiku is not tied to premature, which is pretty sweet. So definitely Mirror Force this. Yep. So holding Mirror Force ended up not being, like, super terrible. And then they have to knock our Kaiku. Okay, cool. Not bad. That's totally fine. I mean, I guess Maru at this point is probably pretty safe to assume that we're on the warrior list, so they probably don't have a better use for that knock at any point. But I still like that play overall. It's just annoying we haven't dealt with the torrential just yet. Maru has Thunder Dragon in hand. Okay, so we still know the sets are Wind Blast, Torrential, we know double TD in hand. And we know Sork in hand, which is now live with the Light and Dark, so that is something we need to be aware of, especially because we have our own Sork, so we would want some way to protect it against the opponent's Sork before we summon it, probably. Draw Snatch for a turn, though. Okay, so now the Sork maneuver is a little bit stronger, because we can go summon it, and then if they go summon Banish, we at least have Snatch for it. Is there a world where you go, like, set Exiled Force here, just to, like... Because we have a pretty reactive hand here, right? It's a lot of removal, and then a Sork that we don't really want to just run out right now into Torrential. So I could see setting Exile just to, like, coax Maru into doing something, but I feel like you probably don't want to. I feel like we probably just pass here and try and draw into something a little bit better. Not really anything I want to be playing here. If we go Sork, they just probably torrential, right? And then we just discarded a Thunder Dragon for nothing, right? Yeah. So I like the pass there. That makes sense to me. Maru is going to go summon their Sork, and now we have the call, do we want to torrential this, or do we want to Snatch Seal it? Or do we want to answer it with Exiled or Sork? We actually have a lot of answers here. Okay, so does Maru have, like... I don't think Maru has any sort of, like, big OTK line here, because they don't have a Dark Engrave. If they had a Dark Engrave, I would be worried about torrentialing here, because then Maru could follow up with, like, BLS plus a monster or something, because we know they have double TD in hand. But now I don't care too much about BLS. Like, I feel like we should just torrential here. Because sure, it gets a Dark Engrave, they can discard Thunder Dragon to put a Light Engrave and go for Chaos, but we don't actually lose to that. And we do have, like, plenty of outs to the second Chaos monster. Whereas, like, soon we'll actually want to be playing some cards, right? And I don't like... Like, if they Wind Blast our Snatch Shield, that's actually kind of annoying when our life points are a little bit low. Like, if they go just beat in for 23, and we try to go Snatch, they Wind Blast it. I mean, then I guess we can, like, Exiled Force it and still keep the Torrential. Maybe that's fine. Yeah, this is an interesting spot. I think there are merits to not Torrentialing here. Maru also hasn't used their normal summon yet, and they don't know that we have Torrential set. Although, I guess from Maru's point of view, what would this back row be? It's not Mirror Force. It's probably not a... I guess there's a decent... It's probably not a discard trap, because we would have discard trapped the Snatch Shield on the Kaiku forever ago. It's not Dust Shoot. It's not going to be like MST or anything like that, right? For the same reason it's not Raigeki Break. It could be Ring. Ring doesn't seem terrible to have here. So it's probably Ring. I mean, from Maru's POV, this is Ring or Torrential. Most likely. So they probably have a backup plan with this Sork, I guess is my thought. So maybe we hold the torrential here and then go for a little bit of a slower answer. That seems fine, I think. Yeah, we're gonna let it through. I think that's a little bit better. I can definitely see just torrentialing there, but I think this is a little bit stronger. We'll get hit for 23, which is a bummer, but whatever. And then we draw Sangan for turn. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, gets us like another normal summon option besides this exiled force. We also trigger our own torrential with the Sangan now if we really want to. But that leaves us like completely defenseless to a lot of stuff. Besides like a bluff set that Maroo's probably unlikely to honor at this point if we've already used torrential and mirror force, right? So I don't like Sangan trigger our own torrential, even if it's kind of cute. It's probably worth just going for Snatch Steal, because if they Wind Blast it, it's like, okay, who cares? I'll just draw it again next turn. And then we still have. Oh, so I'm trying to think, is there an interesting line here where we go like discard Thunder Dragon, summon Sork. Marou seems unlikely to torrential that. I'm trying to think, is there a line with like Exiled Force and Sork to play around this torrential, maybe, with like Snatch Steal as kind of like an X factor as well. So if we go summon Sork, Maru's not going to torrential that. Or maybe they do, but then that's fine because we just plus. Marou gave Yata a pretty good opening here to just plus off of their Sork for like nearly free with the Snatch Engrave. So actually, I think summon Sork this turn is pretty nice. So maybe we go Snatch. If they Wind Blast, we don't care. Then, assuming they do though, then we can go summon Sork. There's a good chance Marou torrentials or chains torrential to the Sork Prio on the banish. And then we can go normal summon Sangan and start beating in. That actually seems pretty good. And then we have Sangan torrential, so that like torrential is still live. That seems pretty good. I kind of like that line, right? Because like we're gonna plus off of the Sork either way. We either summon it and just banish the Sork for free, or we summon it and trade it for Sork plus torrential, which I'm happy about too. But I feel like leading out with Snatch is good regardless. Is there a world where you summon Sork and then go for the Snatch? And then they're kind of forced to like Wind Blast it so they don't just lose, right? That seems kind of nice. So maybe we summon Sork first. And then at least we keep the Snatch a little bit more secret, right? Yeah. I like this play from Yada. Yeah, summon Sork first. Marou has a really hard choice here. Yeah, Prio Banish, Chain Torrential, sure. Now we at least get to save the Snatch Steal or the knowledge of the Snatch Steal. And now we can just go normal summon Sangan attack. Our opponent's at 44, soon to be 34. So this is actually pretty scary for them, because Sangan is actually a decent clock here. We have Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon down the line as well. Knock and Exile to continually, apply more pressure, and Snatch Steal. So I like how this ended up. I like this line a lot out of Yata, and I think they're in a really good spot now. Bluff set knock, I think, is fine. I don't think it matters too much. Oh, I guess to bait out the Wind Blast in the end phase, that's cute. Sure. Yeah, let it happen. Yeah, just simplify the game. Yeah, I like baiting your opponent into simplifying the game state in a scenario where you have a lot of aggression ready to go. So I actually like the bluff set knock there. That's pretty cute, and it worked out pretty nicely. Marou here. They do have Sork, and we can just go ahead and activate Torrential, right? Oh, we're going to let that go through. Oh, is the plan we want to Snatch Steal this? Huh. Torrential is gone, so we only lose to... We can't kill them this next turn, though, right? Huh. Like, I understand wanting a nice Snatch Steal target, but we're drawing Knock for turn, which isn't guaranteed to do anything. Just seems a little bit... I feel like passing up the opportunity to torrential our own Sangan and deal with our Sork is pretty good, but I guess we'll see how this plays out. I just feel like the Snatch play is a little bit fragile, right? I did mention, though, Yata does like to play very, very aggressive with their lists, so maybe this is just them with a bigger warrior brain than me. Like, I am definitely willing to concede that I'm incorrect in torrentialing here. It seems like a no-brainer because I have, like, Chaos Turbo value brain implanted in my head, but maybe if you're thinking more, okay, how do I kill my opponent, maybe the hold and go for the Snatch play is a little bit better. We draw the no knock. It's just a little bit like we just fire off the Snatch Steal. Okay, they're going to dust shoot us. And then they probably send back the Exiled. Yeah, now we have to fire off Snatch because there's no point in holding it. We get in for 23. And they have Mirror Force. Okay, so we do get a nice little +1 off this Snatch Steal. However, I honestly, I mean, it probably depends on what our Sangan targets are, right? But, like, if Yata is playing Warrior... Go grab like DD Warrior Lady or something like that. You know what I mean? That seems like a pretty good Sangan search in this spot, right? It's pretty safe. It's a nice clock. I don't know. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments. Holding Torrential this long is pretty interesting. I don't think it's bad in any... I don't think it's like objectively the wrong call at any point here. I just would have used it earlier. But we'll see if we get value from it, I guess, later on. Because we did get a nice +1 out of the Snatch Steal, but now we just have like no cards, right? Whereas if we had gone for the torrential play, we would have still had the Snatch Steal. Sangan would have searched up something. We also would have spun back the knock, which is kind of nice. Like, do we not pop the torrential there because we want to draw knock? That doesn't seem right because I would rather have a threat, right? Like, drawing knock here doesn't do too much. It's not like there's any like crazy trinity we're super worried about if Marou sets a monster. So yeah, we're gonna get duoed now, which blows. I set a monster pass. We draw knock again, which is fine. Okay, fire that off. Hit Knight Assailant, sure. Cool. We draw Saku for turn. Set that pass. Or just pass. I guess that's fine too. There's no duo to worry about. I guess pro set heavy would kind of demolish us if we bluff set the Saku, but heavy's pretty bad regardless, right? But it is what it is. And I guess there's probably nothing that we would want to Saku that we wouldn't just torrential, right? The only thing I could understand is maybe if we were worried about like a normal monster, a normal summon monster plus chaos, but 2 chaos monsters are already gone. We know the hand is a Thunder Dragon, so it's unlikely that they have 2 threats. So yeah, I guess playing around the bluff set heavy is better. Yeah. They're going to MST the torrential now, though. Okay. And now they can attack us with the tribe. So in this exact scenario, having the Saku set would have been a little bit better. But I can understand not playing it this way. We have to set the Saku. And now we set the Mystical Space Typhoon alongside it. I guess that's fine. Sure. Pot of Greed is soul-crushing. They go normal summon Spy, and this is for game. We have to Saku the tribe, and we take 12, drop down to 500. We draw Graceful for turn, though, which is absolutely insane. We draw into the Exiled Force that gets one back. Rhoda and Mystic Swordsman. So do we just like Rhoda for... I mean, Blade Knight is kind of okay. It's not like amazing at this point in time. Do we Rhoda for Ninja Grandmaster? Do we Rhoda for DD Warrior Lady? Just because it's a little bit nicer. Yeah. Depends on what we have. Do we Rhoda for Donzalug? Donzalug isn't terrible here. We're gonna just go for the Blade Knight. Yeah, I guess Blade Knight is just kind of a no-brainer. I was forgetting about the graceful discard, so I was like, well, Blade Knight's not going to be a 2,000 attack, but you have to discard 2 cards off of Graceful Charity, right, guys? So yeah, Blade Knight is at full power here, so yeah, grabbing it here is kind of a no-brainer. We get to beat over the Spy, and pass with lethal on board, which is not too bad. We have MST to protect the Blade Knight as well, which is really nice. Set a monster pass. We draw Tribe, so it's just going to be Summon Tribe. Attack the set with it. And threaten lethal with the Blade Knight. Or I guess you attack with the Blade Knight first, probably, and then attack with the Tribe. Yeah. It is Spy, which is a bit of a bummer. Yeah, also you don't want to lose the 400 by attacking to a Spy with the Tribe. But now we still threaten lethal on board because we can always Tribe with the draw for turn next turn to get rid of the Spies. Let's see. Maru's going to go Tribute for TD, trade with the Tribe to keep their Spy on board. But that's pretty card negative for them, so we're pretty happy with that. MST, the back row in the end phase, of course. Hitting book. We draw Dust for turn, set it pass, can't do anything else. Dust Tornado at the end. Ooh. Ring would have been game losing, so that's pretty good. Ooh, Rhoda is pretty nice here. Assuming we're running Ninja Grandmaster, that feels like our best option here. Yeah, you could, or yeah, I guess worry about the. Yeah, we can always just do that next turn, I guess. And also like I don't know how many Rhoda targets are left in Yata's deck, but I do like keeping the Blade Knight as the only monster on the field to turn off any flip monster effects here. That seems pretty good. And we get rewarded for it by beating over that Dekoichi. And we can even like bluff set Rhoda if we want to. That doesn't seem terrible. Yeah, I like the bluff set. Maru finds another set monster. We draw heavy. So now do we... I feel like we just do the same thing again. It's probably just Blade Knight attack the set. And then I would like to set up for Rhoda for Ninja Grandmaster when it represents game, right? Because I think negating these flip monsters is pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so now it's Sinister, which is a bummer. Bluff set the heavy, again, is fine. We haven't seen heavy yet, but if they draw it, it's like not the end of the world. Set something pass. We draw Sinister, which doesn't really do a whole lot. I feel like... Okay, so if they drew a back row, they're going to set it. If they drew BLS, they're going to play it. So that means they must have drawn a monster for turn. And so this set isn't guaranteed to be Sinister Servant. It's pretty likely, but it's not guaranteed to be. But I feel like because it's so likely that it's Sinister, you probably just want to go for the Ninja Grandmaster play now to deal with the Spy and then set up for lethal next turn, right? Because now the Blade Knight flip negate effect isn't as likely to matter, right? So I like Rhoda for Ninja Grandmaster, assuming that's in the deck. Maybe we just don't have Ninja Grandmaster. We're gonna go and kill Sangan. They grab Faith now. Okay, so we know the hand is Serpent Faith. Or now we're going to Rhoda. Okay, so we have the Ninja Grandmaster now. I feel like because the set was so likely to be Serpent, we probably should have just done that in main phase 1 and killed the Spy. But really playing around potential flips now, which is interesting. And then just hope we draw another monster so that if they just go set Faith for turn, we can still win, is I guess the play here. I feel like Rhoda in main phase 1 is a little bit better though, just because this is pretty likely to be Serpent, right? I mean, so I guess so Maru drew Sangan for turn. Is there anything that they would not... Is there anything that they would set? Yeah, because we've just been negating all their flips, right? So it is pretty likely, even if they drew a flip monster, that they would wait until we commit another monster to the board before setting the real flip instead of the Serpent. So I feel like we could have just gone for the Grandmaster there. Either way, though, now we're passing with lethal on board. Serpent will block us, or Faith will block us. They draw Graceful, which is insane with the Sinister in hand. Discard 2 dead cards-ish. Upstart into Heavy on Heavy. Set a back row. Set Magician of Faith pass. We draw BLS, which is really, really good. What could this back row be? It's not Torrential. It's not Mirror Force. It's not Ring. Ergo, I don't care what it is. So we are going to go summon BLS and win the game. Pretty nice. Yeah, just get her done, right? And that's game one. So a little bit of a sticky situation there. The game ended up getting simplified down to this top deck scenario with some interesting tactical choices there. But overall, I think Yata played it pretty well. I think I would have done a little bit more different stuff with like the torrential and like playing around Snatch Steal and the known Trap Dust Shoot information. But it ended up working out in the end there. Definitely some decision points that I think could have gone either way. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. But Yata is going to take down game one here, and we're going to move into game two. Chaos Warrior versus Chaos Turbo. Marou on Turbo will be able to go first. Interested to see if Yata brings in their flips now, as we've seen them do several times in the prep leading up to this week. Top deck duo, or opening duo, is pretty nice for Marou. Let's see, they hit our Rhoda, and we probably just discard the Tribe. Or do we? No, we discard the Sangan to get BLS live. Right. Just get a Dark Engrave so we can go TD summon BLS. That seems pretty good. Yeah. Marou has a TD of their own, which is fine. Into normal Zombira pass, we draw second Thunder Dragon. A little bit of a bummer. But at least we can turn BLS on. Do we want to banish the Zombira? Keep them off Chaos? That seems kind of good. It would be nice to get in for, you know. Okay, so the balls to the wall play that I wouldn't be surprised if Yata did, right? We could go discard Thunder Dragon, of course, summon BLS, normal Tribe, and then get in for, what is that, 39 plus 16? That's 5,500 damage. That seems pretty good, actually. We like lose to Snatch Steal, but we got hit by Duo. We drew double Thunder Dragon, so kind of YOLOing this actually feels kind of good. Marou's hand is pretty. It seems like Marou's hand is pretty monster heavy though, right? Because they didn't play anything, or they have Dead Chaos in hand. So I am worried about Marou having Chaos in hand. So perhaps we don't do the balls to the wall thing and we just banish their dark, like summon BLS in defense, banish the Zombira, and hope they stay bricked. And if Marou's hand is all Chaos and normal summons, then BLS is still going to go really crazy and get us back into the game. You know what I mean? Because it's clear they have like no real back row. They could also have Snatch in hand, which would be annoying, but if they have it, they have it at this point, right? We're not doing anything if we're not just, you know, summoning BLS, right? I guess we could go normal Tribe, kill the Zombira, beat in for 16, but I feel like that's pretty likely to just result in them summoning Chaos on us. But do we just want them to do that because then we can summon BLS and go to town? That's actually an interesting choice, because then we soften them up a little bit. We get to hit in for 16 before we get to summon the BLS. They'll be at, what is that, 54? That doesn't seem bad either. Snatch is unlikely, though, right? Like, I feel like Turbo is just as likely to just have a million monsters in hand and like some Dead Chaos. I mean, when we know two of the cards in hand are Thunder Dragon, so there's only 3 cards in hand. It very well could just be like 1 Chaos monster and 2 normal summons, as opposed to like a Chaos monster and normal summon and Snatch. So playing around Snatch doesn't seem that important here. Yeah, this is an interesting spot. I do like when our opponent has double Thunder Dragon in hand to just like get super aggressive if we can. Um, yeah, you know what? I guess keeping them off chaos for now is hard. If we just go tribe, kill it, and they go drop chaos on us next turn, we can just summon BLS, banish it, or whatever. I mean, either way, we're still playing into Snatch Steal, right? So I feel like playing around Snatch Steal doesn't matter. So let's just like let's just summon BLS, banish the Zombira. That feels like the play. Then we can hold tribe in case they, we can always. I don't want to summon tribe to then give them like a really good snatch play in case they have it. If they just go snatch our BLS, it's not the end of the world. I like keeping them off chaos here. That seems pretty good. Yeah, so summon it. Okay, we're gonna go for damage though. I think this is fine. It's just we can get punished if they have a chaos monster, and then I mean I guess the follow up is tribe. I just would have probably played it a little bit more slowly. They just have tribe of their own. Okay. Then BLS dies. We take 16. They found a back row. We draw Mirror Force. Okay, it's probably just set Mirror Force pass. That seems good. We don't want to trade tribes because we would like tribe to stick around because it is a 2-turn clock. So let's clear out our opponent's tribe before we summon our own. They get in for 16. We Mirror Force it. No, I feel like you want to Mirror Force that, right? So you can summon tribe and attack. Set a monster pass. And yeah, now like our hand does nothing, right? Pot of Greed is a good draw though, of course. No Dust Shoot, thankfully. Drawn to heavy plus ring. That's really nice. Ring is pretty good at this point in time. Unfortunately, it's not like amazing. Do we go bluff set heavy, plan to mirror force the tribe when they attack? Duo is not the most annoying thing because we have double TD in hand. Like, I'm trying to think what this set monster could be. If it's Spy, we have Mirror Force, which is fine. If it's like Decoiture or something, it's not the end of the world. We still probably Mirror Force. So I would probably just bluff set the heavy here. Plan on mirror forcing whatever they attack us with. And then we can go like heavy storm their board, do something next turn, and then at least like we got the heavy out of the way for the ring to come through. Just passing is fine as well. You don't have to go bluff set heavy. I think now it's pretty clear we need to be mirror forcing though, just to move it out of the way of the heavy storm, get some value before we go for it. Yeah, now we mirror force it. I like that play. Resets another monster. We draw Dust Tornado. So a lot of back row removal, not doing a whole lot for us. This didn't flip, which means it's probably Sinister Serpent or Night Assailant, right? Whereas this new one could be a lot of stuff. Still don't really care about Faith too much because Duo isn't the end of the world. Now's a good time to Heavy Storm just to get the nice +1 though. And we can go like heavy. There's a good chance that this new set monster is like Tribe or something, or a Spy or something. So we can go like heavy, normal Tribe, attack the new set monster, plan on kill them if it's Spies. And then we can go set Dust or set Ring or both. That seems pretty good. Yeah, like the Heavy Storm, we get a free +1. Summon Tribe, attack the new monster. Yeah, nice line out here. Out of here from Yata, it is just Faith, and so they're going to grab Duo, and we can just play around that by set both of our back row. Or we could even... they're probably just going to fire off the Duo. I was thinking we could be cute with, like, chain Dust Tornado to the Duo to set the ring, but we might not have a Dust Tornado target if they just go fire off the Duo first thing, right? Also, notably, Marou kept in the knock. So if Yata chose not to played the mind game and chose not to bring in the flips, that's a pretty nice advantage here. Yeah, I think it's just going to be set both the back row pass here. Yeah, just play around the Duo. If we get heavy stormed, it's like, okay. Usually you're in scenarios where you can play around heavy or you can play around Duo, not both. It seems unlikely at this point that Marou has the heavy. Of course, they could have just top decked it, but I'd rather play around the known duo than play around the unknown potential heavy storm. It is the Night Assailant. Sure, that was somewhat expected. They go tribute for TD. We ring this, right? I feel like you should ring this. Drop them to 15. Okay, we're actually just... I mean, I guess we still have the life point advantage. I feel like ringing that is kind of good, though. I don't know. Resets it. A couple back row. We're going to dust one of them in the end phase. We hit Jar of Greed, sure. Yeah, not ringing there. It's not like we're keeping them off chaos by not killing it. I guess I guess because we're playing warrior, that's fine. Because there's a lot of top decks that just deal with the Thunder Dragon relatively for free, and we still have enough life that we can ring anyway. So yeah, I think holding ring there for a turn is justifiable. That doesn't seem terrible. We draw Ninja, yeah, and yeah, as expected, or not as expected, but as hoped, we do draw a monster that just kills Thunder Dragon. So we're just going to go ahead and summon that, try and kill the TD. I'm really not a fan of Tribute Summon for TD against Warrior, but Marou, of course, low on cards, had this dinky little Night Assailant on the field, kind of forced to do it. But this is why I don't like it, right? Because Warrior just has so many monsters that deal with it easily. Oh, and we can just go for game here. Okay, so I was going to say Grandmaster killed the Thunder Dragon, but is going for game a little bit better. This is an interesting spot because it is somewhat likely. I mean, I guess it could just... does this play around anything important? I guess if they have book, they're forced to use it now, and then we get a +1 off of it, right? I guess ring before or after attack doesn't really matter that much, right? Because, well, and at least this gives us the opportunity to go... Yeah, I guess ring first is correct, because the order doesn't really change too much what Marou's response will be. Right, like if they have Saku, they're Sakuing the attack whether we ringed first or not anyway. But if they do have Saku or something and we attack, or if they don't have Saku and this is just a bluff, right, then we can't kill them this turn because we only deal 200 with the attack, right? And then ring isn't enough to kill. So yeah, I like ring, kill the Thunder Dragon, go for game. Any of the back row that would stop us from winning the game on the spot would do it in the scenario where we attack first anyway, but assuming they don't, in the chance that they don't have anything, this wins the game on the spot. So yeah, this is the correct order for sure. Both players take 16. We beat in for 18. They have the Saku, but like I said, this would have happened anyway, right? And this at least gave us the chance to win the game. Now we lose to lots of top decks, but I mean, I guess the only thing... Now, but we would basically be in this position where we have to ring the TD anyway, right? Let's see. Marou sets a back row pass. We draw Premature to grab BLS to win the game, right? That seems good. And get in for 3,000. And Marou had a bluff set Snatch Steal, and Yata's going to take it down. 2-0 Chaos Warrior taking down the undefeated marou13 on their patented Chaos Control strategy here. So very, very well played from Yata. Definitely some interesting decision points in both games that I would love to hear people's opinions on. But overall, I think very, very well played to take down this nice 2-0 victory for the 400s. Solid win in a very important war with, some pretty significant playoff, playoff ramifications. So solid win there for Yata. Definitely well played. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this one. Last week of the regular season next week, which will be fun. Be sure to tune in. I'll catch you all next time.